the word moral stance. Moral can literally a moral stance.
You're bringing up but the distinction about abortion. The distinction about abortion is a moral position.
There's a moral stance. Killing moral stance. So everything in the world is a moral stance. So don't use that word.
No, not everything is a moral stance. No, Manar, not everything is a moral stance. There are people out there that believe the Earth is flat. That's not a moral position.
Yes, that's a moral stance. Yes, that in the end that will be a moral stance because they're changing their behavior based on that. So it will become a moral stance. Yes.
It's a truth. Not the truth claim itself is not a moral truth claim. Think of it like this. Think of it like this manner. Think of it like this manner. Just because someone says that the world is flat, it's not going to change their moral position.
Don't understand what
not at all. Like because saying that the Earth is flat is not a moral truth claim. You're not saying the Earth is flat. Therefore, you're not saying you were not saying, for example, that the Earth is flat. Therefore, I'm going to abort my child. Those two that makes no fucking sense.
To hold that belief, yes or wrong? If enough people can believe that the Earth is flat, and so they stopped all technology, they stopped all improvements, and they started basically doing things that are according to flat earthery, is it possible that they're leading to the immorality and the destruction of their own society, or no?
No, not at all. That would not be logically entailed.
So no. You have to understand what I'm trying to say is you having the wrong idea in your brain, the illogical idea. You don't believe that can actually lead to the destruction of your society.
No, it could potentially lead to it may lead to the end of a society. It may not lead to the end of a society. But Manar, even then, the destruction of a particular society, whether that is good or bad, is still a moral distinction. That is a distinction you're also making that is subjective.
No. You're forgetting. You're thinking morality is only linked to good or bad. It's also linked to the success and the de-success of your society.
No, it's not. No, it isn't. Morality is literally just the capacity to make. Morality is literally just the ability to make distinctions between what is subjectively determined to be right and wrong or good and bad.
I'll explain to you. No. What I'm saying is the only way you can understand what is being that you're being moral is if you link it in relation to something else. So it has to be linked to something else.
Agrees.
Listen. So the only way you know you're being moral is if the outcomes were beneficial for you and your societies. The only way you know you're being moral is if the outcomes were negative for you and your society.
That's a subjective value judgment.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay. In the end, that's what the moral value judgment is. That's what the moral value judgment. If you don't consider the relativity of your success of your society and your individual that's within that society to be relatively considered in the moral judgment value, then you don't understand what morality is entailing.
But Manar, why are you including myself and Manar, why are you including myself? Why are you including
versus prescription?
Manar, why are you including myself? Why are you including
They can't hear anybody.
Why are you including myself and the society in that? Why couldn't I just conclude that which is more moral is that which benefits myself?
I know your question. Because you don't know what's right and wrong unless I link it to something else relative to it. And the only thing that matters really in this world and for you really should be your society. And not your individual happiness.
That's your valuation. Manar, that's your valuation. My valuation. Manar.
Why else can you link right to wrong? Why else can you link right to wrong to? Can somebody mute him? He won't let me fucking speak. What else can you link right and wrong to if it's not to the success or the failure of your fucking society or the individual?
Okay, Manar, I was trying to answer you. You are adding the society aspect. For an individual, they may determine that what is best, because a person can determine that what is best for themselves.
Your own happiness based on your own indicators, your own fucking physical indicators. That doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck about your indicators. Does the society care about the individual indicators? Let me give you an example. Does the society? Okay, look. Let me give you an example, guys. The individual indicators show that going to war is very bad, but it's very necessary for society. But the individual indicators show that it's immoral for the human being to go to war because he dies. But for the society, it's a necessity, so it becomes moral to actually go to war. So do you see, you fucking retard, how you have to link your morality to your society?
Yeah, it's called a true contradiction, brother. That's the point. That's the particular thing.
No. You're misunderstanding the definition. It's not. You're misdefining morality. You're misdefining what the context behind morality and the moral value judgment is. It has to be linked to the relative happiness or the dissatisfaction of a society or the individual that's linked to that society.
No, it is not. No, it is not.
Objectivist, and I think the best thing for society is for it to burn. I think that's real good.
Basically, what JL is arguing for is being greedy is good. What JL is saying is being greedy is good for you. What JL is saying is being greedy is good. What JL is saying, let me finish. What JL is saying is being greedy is good. That's what he's saying because it depends on the individualistic blah blah blah. Go fuck yourself, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm a moral relativist in that respect. Just because you're adding, Manar, I'm not done. Just because you're adding myself and the society I am into that is a subjective valuation. You are saying that moral determination. You in your position are saying that moral determinations, that the correct moral distinction is that it takes into account the individual and the society the individual is a part of. But that's not necessarily the case because there are some people that value themselves and what they want over what the society itself wants. Because that's their subjective determination. So no, you're adding your own subjective moral valuation to come to your conclusion.
Wait a minute. My microphone is off. Wait. My microphone.
Which means you probably didn't hear a single thing I said.
I'm back. My microphone was off. Go ahead, finish that last sentence.
Just clean this up in 2 seconds by talking about meta-ethics for like a little bit of moral realism, a little bit of subjectivism. Just for 2 seconds, won't they just like shut this down immediately? Isn't that where the misunderstanding is?
No.
Just all I was saying that he's
misunderstanding. Let me respond to greedy.
He was arguing for a particular
if you understand relativism, subjectivism, and then moral realism, right? Or even just subjectivism and moral realism, then everything will make sense. If you're a subjectivist, like good or bad, that's just got to be indexed to your preference, like if you like it or not. But whatever the person thinks, if they think flourishing of society is good, that's good. If they think burning of society is good, that's good. That's how it works. Actually, if you're a moral realist, there'll be a stance in defendant's facts.
I say not exactly, Grad. It's not exactly. It's just not when you say that our morality is based off of our preferences. That's not exactly accurate. It's more like
yes, he is right. He is right.
No, not exactly. It's the way that
100% right.
No, Manar, calm down. I know that you're heated because you just got spanked by JL Warren, but
I need to respond. I
haven't even got a chance to respond. I've barely spoken. It's that when you say that, it's just a misconception when you say that it's like based off our preferences. I can't prefer to change my morality. I can't prefer to just want more. I can't just want murder to be okay.
Trash debate.
It's your values. It's deeper.
It's like the way that I'm conditioned. It's the way that I am conditioned to believe, which is not the same thing as preferences.
Yeah. Good. You can't just switch like a choice.
It's like I can't just prefer to have.
But there's one thing which is going to be indexed to your values.
Is good.
One thing will be indexed to your values, but then if you're a moral realist, you will think there's objective, stance-independent facts, these irreducible thingamajigs, or they might be reducible to natural things if you're a natural moral realist, and that's it. So under the subjectivist system, you can have two people with different versions of good on the abortion, and they can both be correct. Under moral realism, one of them will be correct. It's just two different things. Then you can figure out which one you think is more convincing.
Look, I'll prove it to you guys. I can socially condition Boba to think it's good for him to cut his own dick off. I can more. So how is that? You see how I cannot
do that?
Relating goodness to your feelings is retarded. Relating goodness to your feelings is retarded. It has to be linked to something else.
Based off your preferences.
Fuck you guys for not letting me debate. Relating goodness to your fucking feelings and your emotions doesn't matter. It has to be related to something else. I'm relating it to the success or the failure of society. I'm the most accurate one in describing and defining morality. None of you is actually accurate.
Why does it have to
condition you to fucking
Wow. My subjective valuations are the best. I love that this is essentially what you just said.
JL, I subjectively disagree.
You'll be happy for it.
Oh yeah, well I subjectively disagree with you.
I think I'm right and you're wrong.
Why are you laughing? You guys are destroying your own arguments. You're literally making fun of your own argument. Your own argument is that it's subjective. Your own argument is that it's subjective. Why are you laughing? Nothing's funny, by the way. This is nervous laughter, guys. This is nervous laughter.
Please, I hope somebody's recording this.
I am. I am.
Okay, you can send it. You can send it to Manar. You can send it. You can send it to Manar so he can study it. And Manar, remember, when you write out that tuition check, it's per sup, not pre sup. You got it? Make sure you get it to the right person.
Oh my God, he's doing a handstand.
I can't.
Manar destroyed his own ceiling
for me. I can't see him. What's he doing?
Look, that's actual metaphysical grounding right there. Just for all of you soulless, dumb atheists.
He's trying to use success of society as a gauge, but just because a society is successful doesn't mean it's ethical. Doesn't mean it's ethical.
Hey, Randolph, why are you always in the center of a tornado, bro? Like we can't hear you half the time. An open car or some shit.
Because
I love a rough life, man.
Because he controls the weather. That's why. It's just accepted.
You're all cooked. I cooked all of you. Hey, make sure you record this. Make sure you record. Hey, Dale told us what's
Don't
good.
worry about that.
Dale is telling us what's good is what's good for him. So if he likes to fuck his own mother, then it's the goodness, guys.
That's not at all what I said. What the fuck?
Just crazy
Fucking
straw
your own
man.
mother and eating from the dead, that's totally good. That's all good, because that's what he likes. Jail likes to eat the dead.
Manar, you took all of us. Yes, Manar, you took all of us like that OnlyFans girl is going to take 1,000 guys in a day. You took all of us just like that.
I have a question for Manar. I heard a rumor.
We didn't even have to pay.
I heard a rumor that Manar was able to prove that he wasn't a brain in a vat, and I was wondering if he could go through that with us real quick.
Oh.
Prove what?
Oh, base.
I can just
go ahead,
that
Manar. Cook us again. Cook us again. Go ahead.
So, Manar, Manar, you've got a solution to the problem of hard solipsism? I'd love to hear this.
Yeah, we say that you're a brain in a vat.
Alhamdulillah, it's the Quran.
Solipsism?
I'm sorry, I couldn't help. Sorry.
Solipsism? What's the solution to solipsism?
So here, I'll paint it out for you, right? Let's say that
Sacrifice.
I'm an evil scientist, and I've kidnapped Manar, and I've taken Manar's brain out of his body, and I've hooked it up to a vat, and I'm feeding it with.
By the way, you guys are all obfuscating from the real original convo, so you all can see.
Yeah,
it, by
we're
the
not
way, all
interested
of you
anymore because your point fucking sucks.
So you all can see it. I beat everyone. Make sure you got this on video. Not one of them knows what goodness is.
Wait.
Everyone believes the goodness and what's right is based on their feelings and emotions. If JL likes to fuck his own mother, so everyone believes that fucking your own mother is good. Go fuck yourself, JL. You're fucking retarded.
Wait, Manar, it's not about
That's a subjective opinion.
We're just hallucinating this one.
Manar, it doesn't matter if you win the first argument.
Of course, we don't care about goodness based on what JL believes. We care about what goodness is based on what the society and all of the consensus of the people believe.
That's subjective to other societies.
You have to relate morality to the society's success and failures. That's what you have to relate. You can't relate it to JL's emotions and feelings, because then we're going to be eating dogs and fucking our moms.
Wrong.
You beat JL.
Wow.
Good job.
You're supposed to elevate rules, standards, and laws.
He's so angry.
Brains and have them elevate.
I literally went into a room. I got invited into this room. 100 people shit on all of you. Recorded in front of everyone, and you're gonna call me angry?
It's just I find interesting is that he believes in an objective morality. What I find interesting, I want to point it out right now, is that he just pointed out, so he believes in objective morality, but then he just said that morality depends on the society and the time and place that you were born in. Isn't that subjective? The morality of America is different than the morality of India.
Yeah, the issue of the Manar, the reason why it is so funny and why you're ignorant is because of the irony. The irony you're engaging in.
That means you don't know what my argument is. If you care about the irony, then you don't know what the argument is. I'm trying to define what morality is.
Ignorant
I'm not telling you what is moral or not. I'm telling you
that you are this. It is ironic that you're so passionate, saying it is objective. You're literally saying what you think is subjective. You are giving us subjective. You're
So
just
I
saying
believe
my
it's subjective.
subjectiveness
Fucking
is
your
better
own
than
mother is
your
wrong is
subjectiveness.
subjective. Fuck you, man. If fucking your own mother is wrong is subjective, then you can go fuck
all
yourself.
all you're saying is your subjectiveness is better than my subjectiveness. That's all you're saying.
Yeah, that's the same
Okay,
thing.
if 100%. My subjectiveness is better. If my subjectiveness tells me to not fuck my own mother, and your subjectiveness tells you to go fuck her, 100% mine is better, and it's impossible for both of us to be equal. Impossible, and that's what you guys been arguing all day. You fucking trash debaters.
Yeah, how do we?
All of you are trash debaters. You're trying to say that me and him are equal. He thinks fucking his own mother is good. I think fucking my own mother is wrong. And you guys are gonna say we're equal, huh? We're both the same. Who knows? It's subjective.
Yeah,
Who knows? Go fuck yourself.
What do you think about people having
I'm
sex
telling
with
you,
their
it's
own children?
impossible. I'm telling you. Well, I'll answer. I'm telling you, it's impossible for both of us to be correct. Impossible. One of us is right. That's it. I don't
depends
care.
on the mother.
It's definitely not you.
On the subjectivist view, though,
Definitely
right?
not you.
The subjectivist view, it's going to be possible for two people to be correct, because if what it means for somebody, if for like a moral proposition to be true on the subjectivist view, is that hold on, take it easy, all right, just like calm down.
These are the
It's okay.
people that hate presuppositions, guys.
Manar, just pretend my voice is an
Filled with
island, okay?
presuppositions.
My
All
voice
the
is an
arguments are
island.
filled.
Guys,
Manar,
It's an island in the
sweep
storm.
the-
Just swim out to it, okay?
Manar, just listen to Josie.
Come on, guys, one at a time,
Fine,
please,
fine.
one at
I'll
a time.
dabble. Go ahead. I'll let you talk.
Dude, I'm gonna Venmo you $10 to go down to CVS and get yourself a douche to get the fucking sand out of your vagina.
Okay, maybe let's get through
Hey, make sure you send me. Hey, that would be nice of you to send me.
one debate with Josie and everybody else. Chill down for a second. Go for Josie. What was you going to make a point? Sorry.
The subjectivist thesis, right, is going to be a thesis on what's making the moral propositions true, right? And so if you have two different subjects, each of which is participating in the truth value of the propositions they're operating under, it is going to be the case that you could have two subjects, right? They're each participating in the truth value of moral propositions. One of them thinks that, like, X is what they ought to do. Another one thinks that Y is what they ought to do. Those two scenarios can be in conflict with each other, but on the subjectivist thesis, both those people would be correct, right? Because their moral propositions would be true, because they participate in the truth value of them. As opposed to an objectivist thesis, which is that when you have moral propositions, what makes them true is not the subjects. What makes them true is something outside of the subjects, right? So it is going to be possible on the subjectivist thesis to have two people, right? You brought up the kind of lewd example of motherfucking, right? But it is going to be possible in the subjectivist thesis to have two people, each of which is participating in the truth value of the moral propositions that are constituted of their moral framework, right? And they could both
let me respond to you
simultaneously.
So why should we believe?
Begging on motherfucking.
Why should we believe any of them? Why should we believe that they are accurate in any way? If they both can't agree which one of them is accurate, these subjective moral guys, why should I expect to adhere any of their morals and moral values?
So on the so what it means to be correct on the subjectivist thesis, right, is just going to mean that when we're contemplating about moral propositions, our stances on those moral propositions participate in what makes them true. So, like, people disagreeing with each other isn't going to be a problem for the subjectivist thesis. But just keep in mind, and, like, this is something that is really important to keep in the back of your head. Moral disagreement.
It's not a problem for people to disagree with one another in a subjectivist thesis.
Look. Moral disagreement, this phenomenon of moral agents disagreeing with each other, is a feature of all moral systems. Moral realism, moral subjectivism.
But isn't it highly erratic?
Hold on. Just pointing out that people engage in moral disagreement is going to massively underdetermine, right, what moral thesis is correct. So just pointing out that there's moral disagreement isn't actually going to get us anywhere. Right?
Okay. But do you agree with me? It's very detrimental to the subjective moralist for him to hear that one of those two positions he just held is immoral. Then it's detrimental for him because he doesn't know which position is the right position to uphold.
No.
Look, we've gone over this twice now, but let's just go over it one more time. What it means for a position to be right on the moral subjectivist thesis is going to be different than the objectivist thesis. On the objectivist thesis, you could have two agents disagreeing about the truth of a moral proposition, and there's a fact of the matter that's sort of resolving that dispute. But on the subjectivist thesis, that dispute isn't going to be resolved the same way because there isn't an objective, stance-independent fact of the matter. So it sounds like you're persecuting the subjective moral system using a criteria of an objective moral system, but why would a subjectivist care about that critique?
Because I would assume that those subjectivists care that other secular nations disagree with one another. They would care that other nations are not adhering to their moral reference. So they would ask questions. Why are you disagreeing with my moral framework? Why are you
there are countries with objective moral frameworks who are disagreeing with each other, like Israel and Palestine. Apparently, the Jews and the Muslims both have objective frameworks.
Yeah, they never agree with it, and they always have these disagreements, right? And one of them believes that he's right. So
Hold on.
even the subjectivist moralist has to believe that one of them is correct.
So how does having an objective framework change the fact that there's disagreements? There's disagreements between people who have objective morality and subjective morality. There's no symmetry breaker there.
A key problem with the subjectivist thesis is that according to its own logic, it can truly disagree with another subjectivist thesis because each person's subjective truth is based on their own individual perspective, making any disagreement appear as simply a difference in personal opinion rather than a clash of objective facts. Essentially, you think that
divine command theory depends on which divine commander you have.
Essentially, you think that, but I think this with no way to definitely settle the dispute. That's literally one of the most fallacious arguments you ever created, is subjective moralist theory.
Hold on.
That's a fallacious argument.
Same issue. It depends on which divine commander.
No. You're gonna say that objectivists cannot disagree with one another on that there's one moral objective truth?
Yeah, because there are different there are different claims to morality, different God
claims. How did they all agree together that cheating is wrong? How did they all agree together that lying is wrong? How did they all agree together that adultery is wrong? How did they all agree together?
They didn't agree together. This is what they didn't agree.
How did they all agree together that cheating and rates is wrong? How did they wasting your life and wasting your time is wrong and it's immoral?
Manar, hold your fire.
They didn't agree with each other.
All traditional moral religions actually agree with one another on a lot of things. Stop talking.
Yeah, but not on everything. Not on everything, right?
Okay, you're right. You're right. But that's because not because they're wrong. It's because we believe all these religions came to the certain people at a certain time. So, like for example, in Adam's life, he was allowed to have his son and daughter be with each other. Let me finish. The objective.
It's still relativism, though. At the end of the day, it's still relativism.
He left.
Nice back.
Hey, don't fucking mute me. I'm against 15 people in this room. I'm gonna leave if you mute me.
This is great, dick.
No, this is bullshit. I'm against 15 people in the room. I'm the only one here. Don't mute me. Look, the objective moralists, they're not gonna tell you, oh yeah, we should do what Adam was doing. Yeah, oh no, maybe we should do what Moses was doing. No, they all agree that there's that those guys had their moral compass for that time, and that we cannot follow Adam's teachings.
Which is relativism, right?
No, objective relativism. Yeah, objective morality. Yes, objective. What? I never said objective morality never evolved. I just no. But your definition of evolution is wrong.
Exact phenomenon less than 10 minutes ago. Moral disagreement, this phenomenon where agents disagree with each other on moral matters, this is going to be a feature of every moral system, right? And it's going to be cited as evidence for each system. Like the moral relativists.
I know, but you would be wrong. You would be wrong if you believe that Adam's morality is accurate today. Do you understand what I'm saying? The objective moralist tells you you're wrong. And then Adam's theorist will tell us, no, your objective relative morality is wrong. Then we go to the scholars and we figure out what's wrong. But you guys don't have a reference. You don't have anything.
Wait, hold on. So, but just to be clear, before we jump to this this notion of being wrong and the absolute reference, can we at least agree and shake hands on just pointing at people disagreeing isn't going to be enough to determine whether or not relativism, subjectivism, error theory, or realism is correct? Because it's going to be a feature of all four.
Sure,
Okay,
but
cool.
you have to understand, in subjective moral theory, you cannot, there's no reason to disagree with one another because all morality is subjective and is internal. Therefore, it wouldn't even, you disregard the disagreements because you would only follow your own moral compass. So it doesn't even matter that, at least as an objective morality, I would at least, we would also agree that there's one truth and we would all come to the conclusion of it. We would try to get a consensus on it. You guys can't even come to a consensus. Do you agree to that at least? Do you agree to that? You can't come to a consensus on moral framework? Can you agree that you cannot come to a consensus on moral frameworks? Yes or no?
Look,
no, we can.
The interesting intuition pump you can generate from that is that, okay, let's say that on the subjectivist thesis.
So you're not going to answer my question.
I'm answering it. So let's say that on the subjectivist moral thesis, you're going to make this prediction that there's going to be massive amounts of moral disagreement, right? And then you go out and you look in the world. What do we see out in the world? Do we see massive moral disagreement, or do we see minimal?
Yes, Canada allowed self-assisted suicide. In America, it's illegal. It's completely.
Don't have to go on example. All we have to do is So just to be clear, are you saying that moral disagreement seems to indicate moral subjectivism, and the world is full of moral disagreement?
No, I'm saying moral subjectivists can never come to an agreement on what is the truth. Therefore, they're going to disagree for the rest of history ever. They can never, because they disregard the truth from the other moral subjectivists, and they only regard their own truth, their own morality, and their own subjective emotions as the truth. I don't know why anybody's interrupting me. I'm answering a question.
I totally understand. So, is the world and human history defined by a lot of people disagreeing with each other and not being able to resolve their disagreements other than using violence?
Is moral history defined by yes, 100%. All of history.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a reason to believe the subjectivist thesis is true then.
That they can never get to disagree with one another. Do you even know what you're debating?
Manar. No, Manar. The problem is you keep saying that the subjectivists can't come to a consensus on and live cohesively. Then that's problematic because two people who take subjective positions, two people who may disagree because they are subjectivists can agree upon the accomplishment of a particular goal. So in other words, if we want to have a society that accomplishes particular things, then we can agree that certain things need to be done in order to facilitate the accomplishing of that goal. So even though the things that we agree upon may disagree with our subjective stance, we both agree upon the goal and can find a point of consensus.
Okay, but that's the argument for objective moralists, why they can actually find a solution.
No, it's not. It's just arguing that it's arguing...
No. Hey, JL, just let me respond, please. The subjective moralists, what they'll do is they'll destroy the other nation because they disagree with them and they disregard all their moral compass. They don't care about coming to an agreement because they believe their opinions, feelings, emotions as their society is the correct one. Doesn't matter what the other subjective morality believes. Whereas the objective moralists actually will disagree with one another and then they'll try to come up to a conclusion, the correct one. The subjective moralists, they don't care. They disregard the disagreements. They don't give a fuck if you disagree with me. I don't care. It's my opinion. My emotions are facts.
How are we doing, gentlemen?
I'm loving life.
JL is trying to argue that the point of consensus is subjective morality. What a retard. Bunch of retards.
No, I'm saying that... No, it's not exalted. I'm saying that you kept saying that people who are subjectivists can never come to a consensus.
Never.
That is what you stated. And I'm telling you, yes, they can if they have an agreed upon goal in mind.
Okay, it appears to you that they can, but they're actually they're not following each other's moral compasses. They're following their own opinions. It looks and appears to you that they're following one another. Like, for example, all the Western cultures appears that they're Western and liberal and secular, but turns out all of them have different legal frameworks. Do you understand that? So that means we could assume that they all have different moral frameworks as well. For in Canada, they allow self-assisted direct suicide by the state. In America, it's completely illegal. So we can agree that we all agree, though, that Canada appears to look as liberal as the Western civilizations. But we also have to agree that their laws and frameworks, and if we believe that the legal framework of a country is the closest thing to its moral framework, we have to believe that their moral frameworks are not at all accurate to one another or equal. No.
Absolutely, sir. But I have a question. So we're talking about subjective versus objective morality. Is that the center of this conversation?
No. Subjective theory, not moral. Subjective moral theory versus objective moral theory. It's like the theory. We're not talking about subjective versus objective.
Okay, well, the theory of such. Let's say, so what are your guys' positions on that? Just to fill me in, perhaps to integrate a little bit more for everybody else. What is the central point that you're trying to make about subjective theory versus objective theory? If you had to put it.
You're not asking me, right? You're asking the secular.
Oh, whoever. I mean, you guys can, of course, you're free to elaborate in your position.
Sorry, what was the question again, so people can answer?
We're talking about subjective theory versus objective theory. Where do you stand? That's all.
Sure, we believe an objective moral framework is necessary, and that's the only way you can tell what is real in the world. Yes.
Based on faith and religiosity.
I disagree.
I already have a problem with that because I already have a problem with that because he said that a objective moral law is necessary, therefore it is true. That's not what that means.
Yeah,
just because it might be necessary for your society to thrive, that doesn't mean that it is objectively true.
Okay, can I ask him a question? Can I ask Baba a question to clarify this position? Yeah, Baba, I say fucking your own mother is wrong, and one of your friends says fucking your own mother is right. Which one is right? Me or your friend?
Now I want to see. So, were you listening to Josie? Were you listening to Josie when he was saying where the truth claim comes? I am answering your question. I'm answering your question with a question.
I have.
Were you listening to Josie when he was telling you where the truth comes from a subjective moral standpoint and from an objective moral standpoint? But then you would know the answer to your own question if you were listening.
Okay, so you're not going to answer my question. Good job. Nice job, Baba.
The answer is it comes from the individual. You were not listening.
Can we just wrap up our conversation from earlier? So in the side chat, can you just tell me which of these statements you disagree with?
Subjectivism causes moral disagreement. The history of mankind is defined by moral disagreement. Subjectivism is false. I would say adhering to secular moral values is going to lead your society to destruction. That's what the argument I would want.
Which of those three statements do you think is false?
Subjectivism causes moral disagreement. Sure.
Okay.
You said that fucking your mom is bad, right? Is she your stepmom or is she your actual mom?
Oh my god, he's trolling. That's funny, but he's trolling.
We know what channels this guy's watching on the internet.
Can we hear? I like what the other dude said. I like what the other dude said specifically with like, it has to be this way, so it must be true. Like, I need it to fit this premise or fit this societal function, so that it must be true. And that's kind of like the whole thing with of finding the objective morality. It doesn't exist. That's the huge problem. There is none. Everyone's subjective. You have to apply a metric. You have to apply a metric to it.
Certainly, sir. But let's ask.
Can you unmute I Love God? I Love God's been sitting in the room for a long time and he's muted. Can you unmute him, please, guys?
Free. I believe in the freedom of speech. Let's get him out of here.
You believe
Are we talking about moral reality or something? Like
Miss B, get the fuck out.
We're talking about objective. So I would say this. Don't you agree, even if you don't believe that there is an objective morality achievable, that there is a hypothetical perfect outcome that exists, let's say, via probability and statistics? Wouldn't you agree?
Say that again?
That there's a hypothetical, objectively best outcome for everything, even if it's a statistical or mathematical. There's not a best outcome.
I really do not think so. I don't think there is. Because you're not applying a metric to it. You're not applying a metric to it. You're just saying hypothetically in this. No, let me finish. You're saying hypothetically in this idea of good or bad, right? I have the best answer, but you haven't applied it yet. That's the problem. As soon as you apply it to the real world, guess what happens? It's like mathematics. Yes, hypothetically, it's perfect. The definitions for language can be definitive in the moment that you define it, but doesn't mean that everyone has to define it in the way that you say it.
Well, I'll give you an example. Let's say I, as a human being, whatever you want to give, social contracts, or whatever type of atheistic morality, whatever it might be, maybe you're not, but I'll say, let's say I care about human life. I don't care if they're black, white, orange, or whatever the hell. I think they're valuable. I care about them. Let's say that is a moral supreme. So a decision that protects the most human life in a perspective, objectively, in a sense, there is an outcome that protects the most human life, right? You get what I'm saying?
But you just made a hypothetical, and he's saying in that hypothetical of your own conditions, you can have an absolute. But when you remove that from your own hypothetical, it's no longer the case. It's a problem with saying something as general as good and bad. That's the biggest problem here. Is because you have to apply it, and as soon as you apply it, it breaks down.
So let's say a nation state, whatever it may be, the Soviet Union, the United States, whatever other country you could think of. It has to make a policy that's going to conscript military professionals. the ideal situation is for your conscripts to stay alive. You want to keep as many lives as possible, whether they're the enemy side or your side. And
You're
in an
arguing
objective
function.
sense,
You're arguing
certainly,
function
but
at this point. Just because you want it to
rationale,
work doesn't mean it
materialism.
has to work.
You don't need to have people survive?
But you want to have people survive.
Where's
need? Okay, you have to apply the word need. To what degree do you need something? This is the problem with it. People are so confused. They like to generalize and then be specific and then ignore the generalization.
Perhaps. Listen, I'd say that you could get to subjective morality and say that to a certain point we love humans, want humans to survive and prosper. Maybe you disagree. I don't know. I think that at a fundamental point, whether you think that we're apes that evolved via anthropology and the hominid group, whatever you might think that we are, I think that human life is precious. I think that's objective.
Right. So your subjection on that, right? You can say specifically you think of it as objective, or you think of it this should be this way, but there's no metric to prove what you're saying. And you can't appeal to function. You have really good ideas here and really good points if you're making a probabilistic claim, not an absolute.
Probabilistic claim, you're saying, would be a probability?
You're saying specifically we want function, and that function in of itself isn't an absolute claim. It's a probabilistic claim. Most people want to achieve a certain goal, so the majority of people will adhere to this mindset.
Let's say we're materialists. Total atheists. There's no big spaghetti monster. But I'll get into a point. But let's the fundamental point. Should we protect human beings regardless of this or that? Yeah, I think that we should. And I think that there's something inherent to me that thinks that that's better than the alternative. And you may think that that's subjective and unprovable and this or that, but I think that it's sacred. Maybe that's where we disagree.
To be honest, the side chat is more fun than this voice conversation.
What the fuck are you complaining? Do you want to be mad and pissed off at the entire room again, or do you want what do you want? What do you want, dude?
You are fucking boring.
Why do you want? So what? You're like a woman. You're more entertained by being mad and screaming at the entire room. What do you want, dude?
I mean, I'm having more fun on the side chat than in the fucking room.
Yeah, so that just tells me that you're more entertained by being pissed off and screaming at the entire room than you are just texting, listening to two men having an intellectual conversation.
Disagreement?
What the fuck do you want? No, that has to be the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
That's what you just said. You're more entertained by the side chat than the two men having the intellectual conversation. Like, so that just tells me you don't want to have an intellectual conversation.
Fucking boring.
Let's make it fun. Let's raise the stakes. Let's make it
fun.
Bro is bored.
These disagreements often lie in the fundamentals of how you think and how the other person thinks. That's usually what the difference is. And people make up, well, because of this, this, and this, and this, and this. No, it's usually fundamental. Semantic debates, all those type of debates, especially in like what we're debating here, is going to be monotonous. And if you're not
the conversation is monotonous. I agree. The whole convo is monotonous.
Right. But if you want to engage in higher thought, you have to come up with a foundation. Otherwise,
well. Can you engage in my higher thoughts? How can
you address the foundation?
Well, I want to know your foundation because your moral theory. Now, I'm very weary about. You were talking about subjective moral relativism for like an hour. I've been discussing this.
I don't believe.
No, I'm actually.
I want to hear it. I love to hear it.
I know, but now I'm very weary about this. So I need to know the subjective moral relativist, whoever is in this room, answer this question. How the fuck do you derive your reference on what is moral and what you should follow? Besides the social conditioning, of course. Besides your legal framework, let me understand my question. Besides the legal framework of your country and your subjective relatives theory from the society that conditioned you with,
I'll answer you.
Reference, where do you know what moral values to follow and what to not adhere to? Go ahead.
My own personal I can answer that. Does anyone else want to?
I want to answer something.
Go ahead.
I want to get moral relativist answer.
I'm a moral subjectivist. It's just like so. It's like this, and I have a very helpful little thing that will help you out. So, what morality is? It's a condition of human behavior, and what that comes from, because I have a background in psychology, I can answer this accurately, okay? So
Me too.
And any of those things come from the conditioning of the brain. Then you should know that. So conditioning comes from the way that you were raised, which is determined by the society that you were raised and born in, which is the part that we were telling you, and the way that your society's morality and laws change over time would be determined by the evolution of the society. So, as we evolved as a species, we were able to determine that, like, generally speaking, like 99% of society will say that, like, murder is wrong, rape is wrong, etc. And society would determine, like, you know, what society. That's why society will have difference of opinions, like in North America versus in Asia, like lies against pedophiles,
Okay,
like,
but I understand.
murder and manslaughter, etc.
I have to respond to Baba, guys. The question was to him. So basically, what he just argued for, guys, if the society allows for slavery, then slavery is illegal. Let's go. Go fuck yourself, Baba. I'm stepping on your head. You know your society allows slavery, you fucking pig. You pig eater. You know your society allows slavery. You would have been cool with slavery. You would have been cool. He's a bitch. You're a fucking slave owner. You would have been cool with slavery, you fucking bitch.
At one point, you're dude. At one point, dude, Manar. Though I don't know what you're.
Remember what I said, Baba? At least now we have some in the room. Now we have a non-boring room.
Oh my god. Hold on, I need Manar to relax. Can someone mute Manar? I need to explain to him.
Can I say something?
Okay, Manar. So I need to explain to you. You are right. At some point, North America said that slavery was okay, right? That is consistent with a subjective moral framework.
He left.
No way. No, wait, he's back. I see him. He's
back.
right there. So hold on.
Yeah,
Manar, so what you just hold on, Manar. Hey, Manar, you need to relax. You need to relax.
I'll let you speak. Just.
Okay, alright, now I am going to speak. It's that, Manar, so what you just said, okay, he's gone. He's gonna come back. Wait for it.
No, ban his ass. If he's gonna do that, just ban
Okay, he's back. Manar, so what you just said is consistent with a subjective moral framework. Because since subjective morality is based in evolution, like I said, that means that society's morality is subject to change. Evolution implies change. So yes, you're right. I don't know why you stepped on my head, but like, yeah, at one point, North America determined that slavery of black people was okay, which now is, since society has changed, has determined to be a bad thing. It changes over time.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead. But yeah, does Vassal wants to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say something. Is the failure here is trying to find an absolute answer. There is none. That absolute good and bad doesn't exist.
Okay. Guys, remember what I asked Boba? I said, besides your legal framework of the country, and besides your social conditioning, what reference do you have to create a moral framework? He went and went back to the legal framework of a country and the condition of the country. So basically, Baba, not only did he not answer the question, he also dug himself in a deeper hole.
Evolution. Did you not hear me?
No. That's later after you conceded that the social conditioning and your society is basically what condemns you to adhere to what moral.
It's like saying, can you explain to me why 3 is not a prime number? It is.
And by the way, let's forget about that. Let's move on from that. Let me answer the actual discussion, Baba. I'm gonna let you go, and I know I'm very nice. I'm gonna act like nothing just happened. Like I didn't just step on your head. Can you respond to my question here?
Oh, I don't know why he got muted.
Can I show you how you still have subjective morality?
He left. He's gonna come back.
I would like to show Manar how he still has subjective morality.
I was like, I don't know who muted Manar and why.
Explain it to you guys, but I just want to show.
Yo, can you stop muting him, bro? As soon as you mute him, you
so two things. While he is muted, I'll just say, like, I don't know how I didn't answer the question. He's trying to say, how is a subjective moral framework not determined by the conditioning of the brain? We believe it is determined by the conditioning of the brain based on the time and place that you're born into a society. So it's like he's trying to say, how is 1 + 1 not equal to 2? It's like, that's just what we believe.
No. I think you're right in a certain extent, but the major thing here is inside group, outside group, in the sense of conditioning. Certain characteristics and morals are upheld by a certain group, and people who don't hold these groups are kicked out or not introduced into the inside group. That's the main reason why people have certain morals or change their morals or believe in something. It's adapting to.
And besides the social conditioning, what else do you have? What's your other reference? At least us, even if.
Wait. Why can't I hear him? I can't.
Manar, did you?
Let me explain. No. I'm gonna respond. I'm gonna leave if you guys are just gonna mute me and not let me respond. I want to ask Baba this question. Besides the social conditioning, because a religious person can get socially conditioned, but he still refuses the social condition. You see that in the trans community with the conservatives. A religious person can have the legal framework of a country tell him what to do. We see that these religious people are leaving the.
I don't know who keeps muting him. He's gonna leave now.
Can you stop muting me? My question is, the religious people can be affected. The religious people can be affected by the same exact social conditioning and the legal frameworks that you're mentioning, but for some reason they don't change their moral frameworks and they don't follow that subjective moral framework. So what? Because they have another reference. Do you understand, Baba? They have a reference that they follow, which is traditional scripture. My question was, what reference are you following besides your own inhibitions and your social conditioning? That's the because you can't shut down, you can't stop your social conditioning from changing your moral framework, whereas the religious person can. He can.
I don't know who keeps muting him, dude. He's gonna leave. Watch.
Look, guys, I just want to know what's the moral framework that behind the secularist. I really need to know, and it's not social conditioning because the religious person goes through the same exact things, but he doesn't leave his actual framework, his moral framework. He actually adheres to it harder. He grasps onto it tighter. So there's something else that has to be there. It's not social conditioning. It's not legal framework. So Baba, what else do you have?
I have a response, but I have a feeling that you wouldn't accept it. It's like, don't you think that there's a lot of things in a lot of religious scripture that you would reject or go against?
No, that's why we actually we try to. This is what happens. So you're right. There's a lot of religious scriptures. So what happens is we go and we only follow the one correct one because we believe that all of them could have been obfuscated.
You believe in the Quran.
So as long as you follow the one correct one, you're not going to see any contradictions like that. You're not going to see that contradiction, Baba. Do you agree with me? If you follow only one, you agree with me? You won't see contradictions.
If you follow one, then yes. But wouldn't you agree that like you follow the one Quran that was given like ever since the time of the Prophet, correct? Aren't there some things in the Quran which you would disagree with?
No.
Not a single thing?
Because I'll explain to you why. Because if I disagree with them, it's either misinterpretation, or if I disagree with it, it's because it's non-ambiguous. So or it's ambiguous. For example, heaven and hell. Okay, I'm gonna sit here and disagree that there's heaven and hell, but the rest of the Quran was accurate on everything else that's non-ambiguous. So everything that's vivid, that's can be checked. For example, the embryo life cycle and phases, how the sun is orbiting, how the Earth orbits the sun.
Those aren't moral claims.
Let me finish. So the things that we can check that are non-ambiguous, we go and check, and all of them are correct, and none of them contradict each other. Therefore, we also come up with a logical conclusion.
Okay, I'm gonna come back on you this Manar.
We come up with a logical conclusion, and I think it's through I forget the wording of the logical conclusion, but basically we follow. It follows from that. If the non-ambiguous is accurate, then the ambiguous is also going to be accurate. That's why we. But the only two reasons is misinterpretation. You're not actually understanding what the verse is, because for example, there's a lot of verses that says kill them wherever you find them, but we're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to follow that. So if you follow that, you would be misinterpreting. You see what I mean?
I'm gonna come back on you now. Just 1 second. I'm gonna come back on this Manar. Are you a Sunni?
Yeah, sure.
Do you follow Ibn Kathir?
Sure, Ibn Kathir. Yeah, what's wrong with him?
Cool. Is it wrong to marry prepubescent children?
Exactly.
So is Aisha a prepubescent child? Was Aisha a prepubescent child?
I didn't mention Aisha. Is it
wrong? So guys, no. But I don't know. Yeah, it's prepubescent children. Absolutely wrong. You cannot marry prepubescent children.
You disagree with Ibn Kathir then?
If they're not children, then we have a different. What makes a child? Is it possible that they didn't go through puberty? Right. That's what makes.
You disagree with Ibn Kathir?
Please.
Cooked. Child marriage for Manar. Child marriage for Manar.
I just disagreed with child marriage. What are you talking about? I said.